Congressman Derrick Van Orden. Derrick, good morning. Are you on the line? Oh, good. I think we
I
have you.
am, and good morning to you.
Well, I'm glad this worked out, Derrick. Can you tell us?
Yeah.
You were just recently in Israel. I don't know if our viewers and our listeners know this, but tell us, what were you doing in Israel? What were your observations on the ground?
Well, I went to get a ground truth. And the reason I felt compelled to do that is twofold. One, when I retired from the SEAL teams, I had multiple combat tours on
Yep.
several different continents. When I finally got to choose where I would go, I made a promise to the Jewish people that if something like October 7th ever happened, that I would go help them. That was well before I ever thought about being a member of Congress, so that was a promise that I upheld. And then also, we have been getting a series of some of the worst intelligence briefings I've ever received. And your
Really?
intel, oh my gosh, from the Biden administration, are terrible about what's going on. And so I knew
Mm.
that they weren't going to be telling the truth. I also knew that the Biden administration and America and everybody else, essentially, writ large, would be turning their back on the Jewish people. And the reason being is I read history. And so I wanted to go see these things for myself. And Morgan, what I saw, remember, I have multiple combat tours as a Navy SEAL on several different continents, and I was also a combat medic. So I've
Mm.
been exposed to some of the most horrific things you can imagine. And what I saw in Israel, the fallout of October 7th, is the most horrific things I have ever been exposed to in my life. And here in
Really?
the United States, oh my God, the what you're seeing in the press here is 1/100th of what took place.
Wow.
It is ISIS times 1,000 of what these people did, and we've got to remember that they intentionally targeted civilians, men, women, children, decapitated them. They gang raped them. They burnt them alive. They chopped off their limbs while they're living, and they did it all on purpose. And so here's what I'm not going to tolerate. I am not going to tolerate and sit by and see this rise of anti-Semitism. I'm not going to be quiet when they're butchering Jews like they haven't since the Holocaust. I'm not going to sit by idly while members of the United States Congress, being led by Rashida Tlaib, are calling for from the river to the sea. That is not some fanciful colloquialism. That is calling for the eradication of the Jewish people from the river, that's the Jordan River, to the Mediterranean Sea. That is, she is calling actively for genocide. I voted to censure her before. I'm going to vote to censure her again, at least two more times, and I'm going to keep doing that. And I'm referring her to the Ethics Committee because you cannot be a sitting member of Congress and call for genocide of anybody.
Right.
So what is the difference between what Rashida Tlaib is doing vice someone wearing a Klan hood on the floor of the House of Representatives? There's no difference.
That's right.
So if I ask people this because they're like, geez, why are you so worked up about this? Here's why. If you had the chance to prevent the Holocaust, would you do so? My answer is yes. We had 300,000 plus people, I guess, in D.C. the day before yesterday marching and chanting for the destruction of the Jewish people. I will not tolerate this in my presence. And I encourage everybody listening to this to not tolerate this in their presence.
Well,
Now is
Derrick,
the time for strength.
Derrick, these words mean so much to me, and I think to so many listeners around America. As a Jewish American, it has been so hard to see the anti-Semitic attacks around this country, and it was really prevalent on college campuses. It's in major cities. It's over the weekend, and when you look at the signs,
Right.
they're not calling for negotiations. They're not calling for a two-state solution, Derrick. They're calling for the annihilation of people like me, of people like my family. I just had my daughter's third birthday over the weekend at our
Very
temple,
cool.
and we had to hire a ton of outside security because there was going to be a lot of little children at a
Right.
temple in America, and we didn't
Right.
know who would try to mess with those kids. That's modern day
Mor-
America.
Morgan, when I was stationed in Germany, I was there with my family, and I took my children. Sarah Jane is my wife. We we took our children to Dachau twice while we were
Wow.
there, so that they could really understand what evil is. And when these folks on the left are calling people that are Republicans, Nazis, and whatnot. It degrades the sacrifice of the Shoah.
Well,
Of the
we are
Holocaust.
getting the music cue, Congressman Derrick Van Orden. You have warmed my heart today. I just want to thank you so much for your kind words and for being bold and standing strong. We need more people like you in Congress.